Duncan would not stop grumbling. He grumbled that he wasn't polished enough. He grumbled that he was overworked. Most of all, he grumbled about the passengers. I'm ashamed of you, Duncan.
Passengers are our coal and water. No passengers means no trains. No trains means no railway. Then we'd be on the scrap heap, my engine, and don't you forget it. Thank goodness Rheneas is coming home. Perhaps he'll teach you sense before it's too late.
What has Rheneas to do with me? Rheneas saved our railway, replied Gscalesodor. Please tell us about it, said Peter Sam. Well, began Gscalesodor, it was before you came here. Things were bad.
We were on our last wheels. Mr. Hugh was driver and fireman, while the thin controller was guard. He did everything else too, and helped Mr. Hugh mend us in the shed. We expect 2 fresh engines next year, they told us, but we must keep the trains going now. If we don't, our railway will close.
How awful, murmured Peter Sam. I tried hard, continued Gscalesodor, but my old wheels ached. Rheneas understood. It's my turn now, he told me.
You've done more than your share of hard work.
He was often short of steam, but he always struggled to a station and rested there.
That, said Gscalesodor earnestly, is most important with passengers.
Sure, huffed Duncan. He had stopped on a viaduct and hadn't cared at all. Passengers, continued Gscalesodor.
Don't mind stopping at stations. They can get out and walk about. That's what stations are for. But they get very cross if we stop at wrong places, like viaducts. Then they say we're a bad railway and never come back. I remember Rheneas stopping in a wrong place once, said Gscalesodor. He couldn't help it, but he made up for it afterwards. That afternoon he had damp rails and a full train. There were passengers even in Beatrice, the guard's van. His wheels slipped dreadfully on the steep bit after the first station.
At last, his wheels gripped the rails again. The worst is over, he thought. Now we're away.
Come along, he sang to the coaches. Come up.
Ah! I've got cramp, he groaned. And Rheneas stopped on the loneliest part of the line.
The thin controller and Mr. Hugh examined him carefully. The passengers watched and waited. Rheneas eyed them anxiously. They looked cross. At last, the thin controller stood up. Your valve gear on one side had jammed, he said. We've unfastened the rods and tied them up. Now, Rheneas, he went on, we need to reach the next station. Can you pull us there on one cylinder? I'll try, sir, but the next station isn't the right station. Will the passengers be cross? Don't worry, smiled the thin controller. They know we can't reach the top station today. The thin controller sanded the rails. Passengers from Beatrice pushed behind. Mr. Hugh gently eased out the regulator, the train jerked and began to move. "I'll do it! I'll do it!" Everyone cheered, but Rheneas heard nothing. "The thin controller's relying on me. If I fail, the railway will close. It mustn't, I'll get there or burst."
Everything blurred. He was really too tired to make another turn of his wheels. But he did. And another, and another, and another. Finally, tired but triumphant, Rheneas reached the station. "I'm here at last," he wheezed. All Rheneas remembered about the journey down was having to go on going on. "Thank you for getting us home," said the passengers.
"We expected a long walk," they said, "but you brought us home. We'll come again and bring our friends."
"You're a gallant little engine," said the thin controller. "When you're rested, we'll mend you so you'll be ready for tomorrow." And, smiled Skarloey, Rheneas was always ready for tomorrow. Whatever happened, Rheneas always pulled his trains. "Thank you for telling us about him," whispered Duncan. "I was wrong. Passengers are important after all." The next day, Rheneas came home. All the engines were there to greet him. Edward pushed his truck to the siding,
and Skarloey pulled him neatly to his own rails.
This was the signal for a chorus of whistles from engines large and small. You've never heard such a noise in all your life. The owner, Rheneas, and other important people made speeches. The band played and everyone was very happy. But Rheneas was happiest of all in his own place that night, next to his friend Skarloey. "You know," he whispered to Skarloey, "this helps a little engine to feel that at last he has really come home."